Well, here we go then into the matchup of living legends of Quake. Dan Cypher, of course, coming in hot, repping the bucket hat, looking like a baller in the interview. The man straight serving Fresh Prince vibes, but will he be walking away with a win tonight up against Cooler?
I mean, recent times would expect so. He's just looked unbeatable, really. Like player of the stage for me so far. The leaps, like when you think he can't get better, he gets better. So one would think so. I mean, I have been watching a bit of all the players' streams and a bit of Cypher and Cooler, and I think he has struggled a little bit against Cooler in practice, but nothing to write home about really. And Cooler in kind of visual matches as well has been dropping down the leaderboards a bit like a cannonball. So he's got a point to prove moving into the finals, as obviously he will be one of the favourites to take the belt based on being one of the few people who has one to his name and will desperately want a Quake con as well.
Hey man, here's what's scary, right? You know, you look at it in terms of the standings. We see Cypher now at 4th place. That's like, all right, that makes sense. Cypher floating around top 3, top 4. Yeah, I can respect that. And then as you said, you look at Cooler, you glance at his placement in the standings, you see that 11 there, and you're thinking, what on earth? Am I looking at the wrong standings? Is this somehow just gone wrong? But he's just dropped off quite a lot this season, which is crazy when you think about the meteoric rise from stage 1. You know, he takes the belt back at Luca. Everyone's hyped. They're thinking this is a return of Cooler. Going into stage 2, we were thinking he was going to win the tournament. He gets put to bed. Obviously, you know, what was it, by Chain in the end, right?
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, I know we're talking about Cooler here, but it makes you think, was it luck? Like a little bit of luck? Because Rafa and Kilson, like 1 and 2, the other 2 people with belts. Kilson obviously with 2 belts. Cooler 11th, and even previous tournament histories, like both the previous tournaments, he's been knocked out relatively early. So he, for me, is one of the players with a lot of question marks around him, because he looks so solid when he's playing, but he just keeps dropping maps every now and again. There was a few times recently where he got utterly manhandled as well, which is uncharacteristic.
It is. It really is. And I feel like the scariest point to that is you're going up against probably the most informed Cypher we've seen in some time, right? Like he's back to absolutely giving it. We've obviously seen as well, I don't know if you spotted it, but they made the announcement that he's made a step back from actually coaching the Na'Vi Apex team now. So he's full-time Quake champions from this point forward. So you've got to think he must be putting the hours in, right?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of him streaming a lot more, playing and ranked a lot more. So he knows this is his time, and with all players, they have a period of adjustment of when they ramp up their training, and everyone at that level knows roughly how long they need. So we've seen a huge uptick in how much he's putting into this, going into this final stage of how important it is as well.
It's going to be a hell of a series. I think this will probably be one of the better games of the night. It's going to be hard to follow some of the games we've already seen, but it's always exciting. Even though Cooler's been struggling in terms of recent history, he can show up when he wants to. And I feel like going into a battle against Cypher, he'd want to give us the best possible game here, not only for the bragging rights, because the fact that he needs to still move a little bit further forward in the standings. Let's look at the veto, though, and see if that skews things slightly or gives you any inklings of how you reckon this one is going to go down.
Starting on Awoken, we have Ranger versus Doom. Very standard picks right there. Spoken a hell of a lot about that matchup. We've seen it a fair amount today. Galena banned out. Cypher knows how much Cooler loves that champion. Ruins, we do have the Saw lag against the Strogan Pika, so quite like that pick from Cooler. Means he can pick up the tempo against Cypher, but also Strogan Pika very, very strong in retaliation. And then we finish on Corrupted Keep. We've got Keel against Ison. Interesting matchup. Cypher is someone who does like Keel. Don't often see it picked on Corrupted Keep, but it is a bit of a bruiser, so can brawl. Could be a decent pick.
Mate, I'm thinking it's interesting. You know, as a way to start, we've got more of a classic matchup there, really. You know, the tale of two sides with both Ranger and Doom coming out on Awoken. We've seen it a million times. We know that it can be competitive. We know that that will be exciting. Then you move down a little bit further. Ruins of Sarnath gets a bit spicier, right? Two very speedy champions, really, that can use that momentum up against one another. Difference is, one of them slidey, the other one slimy. And then towards the end, Dan, Corrupted Keep to round us out, you got Eisen versus Keel. And Keel's one of those cheeky picks that Cypher's played a couple of times throughout QPL, and it's always been exciting when we get to see him pull out the Pineapple Punisher. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a pretty good overall choice. Corrupted Keep has some great games in the past from both of these two pros, so this will be a nice little series.
I mean, that's what we'd expect, right? It's going to be a clash. And for me, like, we know what we're going to get from Cypher. I'd love to see a really hot on-form Cypher with the weekend before Quake on, but even more interested to see what level of Cooler turns up, because he's the one, as we've said before, needs to make a big mark.
And let's not forget as well, right? Obviously, we commentated that final. We were there for Kilson taking on Cypher in the end to try and brawl for the belt last time around at the last stage finals. We saw how close he came to almost being able to contend for that and stopping Kilson coming the only two-time left on Twitch at this point. And it's exciting to see, Dan, going forward. I can't wait to see if maybe Cypher is fully on QuakeCon form and we're going to have the best possible competition with all of the top 4 spots looking damn spicy when we come to the end of the season.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good one.
It should be absolutely banging. First map loading in now, though. We will be stepping into Awoken to kick this one off. Definitely quite hyped for this one. I feel like there is a lot of momentum going into this. We know how Coollerz can play, and it is just a matter of, does he turn up tonight? Is he willing to put it all on the line, right? You've got to think he wants to fight back, because he will not be content. 11th place in the standings, that's not Coollerz.
We've got Awoken and Corrupted Keep, two of my favourite maps. They're both maps where you can brawl on, so it's going to be a fun series, and I want to see a hyper-aggressive Coollerz. That's when I think he plays his best.
Oh, mate. That's where it all comes from. That's when he plays really to rub salt into the wounds and be able to bounce back into the action. Here we go, then. As we'll start it off, of course, Cypher on the Doomslayer and Coollerz on the Ranger going into this one. Two very exciting competitors with the way they play. It's always a blast when they do clash up against one another. And let's see where the first frag will come from. Right now, Cypher skulking around, building up his arsenal, gathering those weapons and attempting to gather intel and reconnaissance over towards the heavy as well. A little bit dubious about the potential of being pushed, but he will eventually make his move and grab that heavy.
Very slow start here for the first minute. Literally the first damage we've seen.
Oh, wow. All right. As soon as the first punch is thrown, though, one comes back and it does a fair amount of damage, tugging up Cypher and leaving him somewhat low. But they'll just trade on the major item split. He'll instead this time go over towards the Mega and be able to build himself back up. And Coollerz will go for the dash towards the heavy. And Cypher just walking around, you can see clearing angles with the rockets again and again. Or suspected to peek towards middle, but the weapon prioritization wasn't quite ready on the peak. Instead has to double back towards the rail, then gets the shots off with the tri-bolt, as he will allow a couple of tags coming out and slow down the initial push.
Lots of respect coming out from both players. Training major items. Although we have a battle here as Cypher sets up for the Mega. Goes in and he's a little bit too early, and Cooller's aim is on point. Cooler will be able to progress back across to pick up this heavy, but might take some damage for it. Cypher's in position for some rockets. Not much hitting, no, as Cypher does retreat, but nothing else except a rocket launcher, so has to prioritize getting some other weaponry at this point. Waiting to hear where Cooler's going. Might be guessing he's gone the back way now.
Close towards the 3rd minute mark.
Not sure what Cypher's plan is here. He's wasted so much time. He can't contest the Mega, so instead he's just waiting for the light.
Just locking it down towards middle right now, it seems. Playing the Kilson approach, as he will just lurk and wait for a push to come around, whereas Coollerz, on the play for the major items, jumps up into the pre-fire. Cypher, he was ready with the LG. The beam of lightning coming out. and it will light up Cooler, but it won't end him. His eyes will stay bright into the fight as he comes back through looking for another one as well, but he can't quite do it. Almost outdoes Cypher, but he'll finish him off, grab the Mega, and close the gap a little bit more, taking it 2-1 on the split of frags, trying to utilize the teleporter.
What a rocket!
What? But he comes through, takes a rocket to the lips, and then gets shot up by the shotty. Nightmare.
Some of these shots so far. Cooller's aim has been on point. 53% lightning gun so far. And some of those rockets have been ridiculous.
Boy, oh boy, is this starting off with quite a spicy approach to the game, though? Cooler, he's come out hot tonight, and we were talking about maybe seeing Cypher on Quake form. Well, this is looking like Luca levels of Cooler, not lukewarm, straight back to the Stage 1 finals, where he was hitting all of his shots! Oh, wow, saved by the Dire Orb.
My heart stopped there, let alone his. Jeez, that was close.
Mate. You imagine if that was 1 second off the cooldown, he would have been kicking himself so happy that he's been able to stay alive now. And off the back of it, he's just chaining rail after rail. And then the shotty comes forward. Big Papa Pump will take down Cypher 5-1. Oh, mate, if Cooler was a sleeping giant, he is definitely wide awake here on Awoken. All right, well, Cypher, if you can't beat him, get in their face and blow him to bits, blow him to smithereens with a rocket, and that's just what he'll do.
He did so much damage that Cypher can't contest for this heavy either. So it's a good move by Cooler in the end of the day. He's that rail though. And bullied Cypher away from this Mega as well. So Cypher's really not in a good position. 5-2 down, over half the match gone.
Ooh. Cypher missing a couple of rails as he is pushed past. Does eventually hit the 90, and he knows exactly where Cooler is. Wants to stop him from being able to make his move on towards the heavy, but the Dire Orb, of course, will stop that from being a factor. And Cypher, not overconfident, not gonna entrench himself into the mud and get stuck there, fighting Cooler on a level playing field. Instead, backs off, knows that he can stay alive longer if he makes his move over towards the Mega and picks that up, ready for the next possible firefight. But he needs to start getting fragged soon. He is down at this point. You need to come back through with more.
A little bit of trouble there because he doubled back, tried to second guess Cypher's movements, and because of that has now missed up on the whole map. So he's in a precarious situation. Robbed up in fire. That would be a lifeline, but he is caught around the corner as Cypher guesses where he is.
Wow.
Should be going down. Nice frag, clean rail. And Cypher has perfect split on the items now.
Way better. He's reset the course of the game. Oh my. And he knows, obviously, Cooler, you're going to be wanting that LG. So he'll instead wait to try and pre-fire him. Nearly knocks him off the side, but instead it should be the stunning finish. You can't hide behind that pole for too long. Cypher will push in and punish, taking him down with the LG and leaving a steaming pile of ashes where Cooler was previously standing. And talking of steaming, rage is fueling Cypher at this point, as he knows he's only one frag away from bridging the gap, closing it down 5-5, and keeping it competitive here into the first map of this bout.
But in the space of a minute and a half, the score's gone from 5-2 to 5-5. So Cypher has not only reclaimed it, but he's got full control and lockdown on both major items. So Cooller's going to hang out here, hope Cypher's time. He's just going to try and battle and stall, but he's got 5 seconds to try and survive, and it won't be enough. Desperate use of the Dire Orb, but Cypher is incredibly healthy.
He's more than healthy, mate. He's gotten onto a full juice diet at this point because he is just pummeling Cooler every single encounter they get into now. He has been grinding him up. He's looking like a human blender. Let's see if the blades will keep on spinning into this one as he goes back through, looking for more action. We reach the 8-minute mark. He does lead by 1 frag. Rockets raining by from Cooler, and Cooler is so low, trapped towards middle. Cypher could instigate another fight here if he wants to, but he's playing a smart game. He's waiting for the push. He knows that it's a matter of who's going to win out on the contest here for the Mega. Baits out the Dire Orb. If he gets the kill off the back of this, it's the dream scenario. You get the frag and leave Cooler with downtime with no Dire Orb.
Time is running out, but there is only 2 frags in it. However, Coollerz hasn't really had an item beyond that Mega for about 3 minutes, so has to try and do something to delay Cypher from these pickups, and that's not it. That might be, but he has taken a lot of damage. Mega's up.
Final 60. Who's going to be standing tall with their heads? Ooh, firmly held high at the end of this one when the dust settles, because right now Cooler wants to try and put ashes to ashes and dust to dust as he overpowers Cypher once again.
Oh, that's so good!
He's coming straight in! Cooler's so low, he's going to get punched in the face! Oh, the uppercut comes through from Cypher, decking him down and leaving him with a Chelsea smile, Daniel.
Oh, everyone underestimates the power of the punch from the Doom. How has that happened? That looked like such a good move.
This is ridiculous. What a hell of a game we've had here on Awoken. This has been so back and forth, so chaotic. There has been no calm waters. It's been choppy from start to finish, and Cooler, the overcommit that's come back to bite him right on the bottom, and we are into squeaky bum time. You've got about 10 seconds to look for a frag to equalize it, and Cypher's low. His stack's not pretty, but you've got to finish him. 5 seconds now if he can somehow get round there and hit the shot. Cypher, he's done it, surely. No. You can't take him down. Look at the difference here, Dan. Look at the stack on both of them.
Cooler didn't pick up the rocket as he went around the corner. That was so close.
Mate, what a game. Honestly, a hell of a first map. What a way to open up the series. We said 2 absolute legends of the game here, and coming into it, Cooler, he was done. He wanted to clap back, not content with being in 11th place. He was playing like a true competitor for the belt, get that game close, shaking him down to his core there, Dan. 8-7, man.
That was an incredible game. Absolutely incredible. Cooler was hitting like an absolute monster, but when Cypher had control, the way he just bullied Cooler was remarkable as well, and then that went to the wire. Just one rail, pixels away. And I don't know how that move didn't work. I thought it was such a good move, pushing through the orb. He knew that Cypher had no weaponry, and then the Berserk come out, and he just pummeled him like Mike Tyson.
It just went in there. Oh, dude, it was just like Punch Out, and he has really achieved victory on that one. A gigantic fist coming through from the man with the iron fists himself. The bucket hat giving him power in the end of that game, as Cooler's going to be the only one feeling a little bit blue off the back of that result.
A little bit. I thought he played really, really well. There was that mid-period where it looked a little bit lost. There was times where he went incredibly passive and then he tried to just jump onto items. But when Cooler has control, it's difficult to get it off him, and we saw how punishing he can be. His aim looks really good, and as strong as how much we praise Cypher to take it to a 1-frag game. I mean, yes, he lost, but it was as close as it could have been.
Dude, ridiculous. A hell of a game. Love that one. Big fan of Awoken games normally anyway, especially with players like this where they're willing for a scrap, and that's all they did. They were fighting continuously, tooth and nail. By the skin of his teeth, Cypher gets away with the win on the first, and now it looks like we're setting up to go into our second as well. Off the back of this, of course, we're moving into Ruins of Sarnath. Champion pick-wise, we're looking at Sorlag coming out. Lovely little mecha Sorlag being sported there for Cooler. And of course, on the flip side for Cypher, he's got the Strog and Pika. So, can the big girl defeat the crouch sliding lunatic? Will they be able to take the series 1-1 down?
I think he's definitely got a much better chance now. I like the Sorlag pick a lot, but the Strog and Pika is all equally as strong. So the difference that we might say isn't as big as it could be. But I think if he can keep the tempo high, like I said at the start, I felt that Cooler plays his best when he's in control. He's really pressuring you. So that's what Sorlag unlocks.
Well, we'll see if that will come out here once we get into the game, as we're starting to boot this one up. We'll be into it shortly, and we don't want to dilly-dally. We don't want to waste time on this one, as it seems like both of them are hyped up. If there was any questions, if there's any cobwebs on the mouse mat's clean, Dan. It's looking fresh. The flicks were coming out from either one of them.
They both look strong. Like, Cypher's aim wasn't as good as it usually is, but his combat skill was on point. So that's always really, you can't really fault them. It was to the wire, Jackie.
It was rattling them all night long, straight down to the core. Just exhilarating stuff as a way to open the first map. And, you know, you think about it, in reality there, we only actually saw about 7 minutes of action. There wasn't a single frag until the 2-minute mark, I believe. So, a crazy game then.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. It was good tempo of passive, defensive, and then outright aggression. But we are going with outright aggression off the start here, and it is Cooler using the pace of the Sarnath, as we said, to crush Cypher.
Cooler coming through. Too cold to hold. You cannot manhandle this man. He has proven that. Looking ice cold with the way he's dripped his way into the game, opening up with the first frag immediately. It took 2 minutes back on Awoken. Here on Ruins, it'll only take 2 seconds for blood to be spilt all over these sacred ruins. Cooler. Waiting to see if the push will come around as well, but Cypher not overstepping the mark just yet. When he does eventually reveal himself in towards the mega room, it'll be a few rails that hit. Oh, but a few rails is all it will take to sink the ship of Strong and Pika once again, as he'll be shipwrecked. Heads his way back over towards, of course, the heavy. Will snatch and grab that on the crouch slide out, but Coollerz already one step ahead of you. Issue is, I don't think he's got the stack to contend in this firefight. Cypher should be able to find a frag here, Dan, if he plays his cards correctly. Pete comes up. They're both actually quite close. This could come down to the difference of a single blow, but they call it quits. It's a stalemate.
And Cooler positionally gets the better of that engagement as he's got health and resources behind him. He's also in time for the mega. Cypher can't even show himself for this heavy, so unfortunate. It was a good move from Cypher, but came off worse positionally there.
Cooler building speed up. You know, obviously you can be on the Strong and Pika and you can utilize that momentum, but Sarnath can definitely keep up. She might be big, but she is damn speedy. The roller skates coming through on the Mecha Sarnath as she'll skate her way over back towards the Mega Spawn. Goes for the peek out early, trying to predict where Cypher will be heading towards. Cuts off his route by gobbing all over the floor and getting the acid spit down to deny the pathway. Drops down on top of him as well. Slightly too late to contest for the heavy, but will be able to arrive just on time to do damage.
And that was the goal. Realised he was going to miss out, but he didn't want to miss out on any damage.
Oh, Cooler. I love to see the finesse on the execution. Whoa, looking like Cooler's becoming SpaceX at this point. Takes off and sends himself on the space program, but won't be hitting the shots. Instead, it's the Pika punishment that comes back around as it will slam in his face. He does get the consistent tick of damage, though, from the Sarnath spit. So we'll have a good idea of what Cypher's up to, and up to is exactly where he is. He is up in the air, head in the clouds off the back of the shotgun, slamming into him there, Dan. Cypher's
head must be spinning as every corner he goes around, somehow Cooller's there. So Cypher, as you can see, has just absolutely just stayed put and said, if I don't move, you can't find me. So playing static at a minute, but it has unlocked the map for Cooler. Cypher wisely takes the mega, realizing Cooler was trying to trick him down by dropping early for the heavy.
Cooler, off the back of trying to locate him, will he overstep the mark and leave himself exposed? Again, spits all over him, lands the follow-up rail, not an easy one to hit, but lands it and makes it look oh so simple as the shot he's done. Once again, one pump is all that's required to finish off a man like Cypher. Back in looking for more.
Oh, so smooth.
Oh, mate, what a shocker. Transition from LG to rail whilst he's on the trot. The drive-by literally didn't even stop to take the insurance details on that one.
And Cypher's just struggling with the pace of Cooler, the pace and execution, because not only is the pace high, he's hitting his shots to go with it, and that's when he becomes a scary beast. But a couple of rails from Cypher will stall that aggression temporarily. It goes up quite a few seconds before. Cypher's quick, he could get on both if he wants to, but he doesn't. Instead he retreats to pick up some light armor resources. Coollerz got no rockets and very low on lightning guns, so doesn't want to take an engagement just now.
Nearly hit the 5-minute point here. Cooler, slowing it down. Exactly as you said, he knows that he can play with a tempo. You've already got a luscious lead, and when the game starts to get this late on, there's no reason to go overly aggressive and continuously fight fire with fire and clash at every turn. You might as well just slow it down. Burn as much time off the clock as physically possible, but when a fight is forced, you've got to give a little bit of damage back. He will be able to go blow for blow here towards the heavy, and in the end, Cypher backs off, sends himself up the bounce pad, and gets out of there, creating some more distance once again. And this is probably a good thing to happen here for Cooler because he's low on ammunition. No rockets,
this is
15 LG.
Really tough fight. Obviously, Cypher's not aware of the situation, so can't overcommit, but might get a seeking suspicion now. It doesn't matter though. Shotgun to rail combo, that is one way to kill your enemy.
Oh, mate, the unzoomed rail, using it like a secondary shotgun, just straight to the face. A certified lip remover as he just cuts him clean off of the Strog there.
Although Cypher will be more than aware of how weak Cooler is now. Can he catch him? That's the question. Obviously, he's quick. He's chopped onto him, but the lightning gun was not the right choice. Does get it cleanly, though.
God damn, it's looking like both of them are certainly on Quake form at this point. They're ready for a World Championships, and that's what they're displaying to us into this game. 4 frags behind for Cypher, and 4 minutes left on the clock. That's what the scores and the doors are looking like currently into this matchup. And Cypher playing with speed, trying to chase down the Sorlag. Will locate her, but he's missing his shots when push comes to shove.
No,
he barely does it.
Hell.
Somehow finds the flick on the rail, Dan.
That was incredible. 3 health. Cooler had perfect position, wasn't taking any damage, then suddenly a rocket flicked him in the air for the combo. He'll be fuming with that, but does maintain his lead. It got him back control nonetheless. So he's just got a shotgun to work with. Will it be enough? Oh.
Oh man, how is he doing this? Just shot after shot, styling right now. Obviously time is low. You don't have a long amount left to work with, but you do have a big stack and a lot of confidence. Cypher sliding around the corner. Will he be able to decipher what he needs to do to best Cooler here with the amount of time he has remaining to him?
Oh, trying to sneak out. Did not work.
That was a little punch on the nose, Dan. It was like trying to fend off a shark. Oh man, Cypher. He's still on the back foot. There is potential. Issue is that potential gets taken away from you now as Cooler, he shuts him down. He might be taking shots in the side of the head, but I don't think it'll matter. Even if he does get left dead, it still won't be achievable, really. Cypher, you need 3 frags in the space of effectively 2 minutes. Is it doable?
It is, but it's obviously stretching him to the limit. He needs a frag now. He can't let Cooler get this mega uncontested, which he does. Obviously, Cooler doesn't have the weapons to contest, but he's in a choke point, so it's difficult for Cypher. He has to retreat. Now Cooler's sitting pretty. He can just run if he wants to. 90 seconds. Maybe if Cypher got a frag on that 8-minute mark, it would have been possible, but now it's looking thin at best.
And Cooler knows this, right? Like, you can just get that tail tucked between your legs and sprint as much as possible, using the acid spit as effectively a back nade to try and slow him down, spitting all over the floor to slide Cypher into an awkward spot. At least he's able to make his move up. Does a fair amount of damage there off the rail. Could probably capitalize and get himself a 3rd frag, but now you leave yourself with 60 seconds for 2 kills. That's the only way this game goes to sudden death, or it will be 1 map apiece.
It's like it will be 1 map apiece as Cooler is just playing the teleporter game. He has nothing really except that lightning gun, but that's all he needs. Cypher's just trying to run into a dead end, really. Such an evenly matched game across the board.
Oh, Peeker coming out, but it's not enough. Cooler comes through, shuts it down, picks up the 6-3 split there on the scoreline. 3 frags ahead. That's the way it's going to be left. Chiseled into stone at the end of this one, as there isn't enough time for Cypher to get back into it. It is over. 1 map a pop. The scoreline has been equalized, and we will be going to that third and final map as an official decider to see who will win in the series on Corrupted Keep.
It's been a fun series so far.
Yeah, it has actually been really sick. Like, you know, we've seen the best from Cypher, the best from Cooler. We had the closed opening map to start, literally just won by the skin of Cypher's teeth. Coming into this one, complete change of pace from Cooler. He was looking for a blockbuster of a game, and it definitely made some money.
Yeah, for sure. They both look really strong. I think Coollerz definitely taken a step up from previous weeks, as we saw from Toxelia. So everyone's much more focused as we reach the ultimate stage here.
Oh, mate, I'm invested for it now as well. And also, Corrupted Keep, what a map to shut it down, right? As the last opportunity in the series for an upset to come out. We've seen Cooler have some treacherous games on Keep in the past. We've had Cypher really do some ludicrous things on there. You remove the rail from either of them, basically throw them in after they look hungry for the game as well. You know, throw them in there, just pit them against one another. What a way to close down the series, mate. Keep should be sick.
Yeah, there couldn't be a better map, if I'm honest, to go up against these two. The ultimate test of strategy and positioning and combat skills. So it's such a difficult map. Might not seem it from maybe a spectator point of view, but as a player, it really is a good test.
No, it is. It's certainly a fun one, and we'll be getting into that relatively shortly. The third and final map here in the series between these two. Man, we expected something crazy off the back of it when the way we were looking at it. Even back at the start of the day, you know, we were thinking this is going to be a tasty little affair. It's more than a tasty morsel, Dan. This has been, you know, this is Sunday brunch. This is the whole dinner being given to us.
Bit of a buffet, if I'm honest, these last few series. And we've got one more spicy meatball to come up.
A little dessert thrown on the end.
What dessert would it be if you had the Rafa the Hang dessert?
Ooh, something sausage-based.
A sausage-based dessert?
Yeah, man. You know, you've got to stay in line with Rafa. We know he's the sausage king.
I'm really lost right now.
Oh, don't worry, mate. Need 40 here. He'd understand.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm really confused right now. On so many levels, I've just you twisted me, Jackie.
It's all right. It's what I do. It's what I do. But don't get it twisted, down, as we're going into the third and final map. We'll be locking it down here and deciding a victor between both Cooler and Cypher. Of course, it's time for Corrupted Keep. But who is going to be the landlord and who will be paying the rent when they're living rent-free on this one?
It's an interesting pairing, Ison and Keel. So it's hard to call. I think my head is going with Keel and Cypher on this one, but either way, we'll get into it.
Ooh, and same start, issue is different outcome. Cypher this time takes the opening pick in the first 10 seconds, locking it down massively. Shots coming out as well, looking for a follow-up frag to try and do some more damage, but it's a suicide for Cooler. Looking a bit like the Joker, and unfortunately that is a bit of a jester play.
Little bit. Can see the thought process there to try and get away, but didn't pay dividends as Cypher now picks up the item. Looks very pretty. There's no armor to his name, but he's got Cooler trapped, and Cooler will die.
Cypher effectively 3 frags ahead already now. This is a hell of a way to open it up. The pre-fire spam coming out off the back of the plasma, that's all just going to go whizzing by. Cooler makes his move from the statue, looking at the chiseled stonework and trying to find a way to chisel himself back into the history books here in this series, Dan. It was a slow start, but there's tons of time. It's very early doors yet, so he won't be too bothered. He's able to buff this out and get back into the game. He has a good inkling to where Cypher is as well, with the pre-fire coming out.
Yeah, and that use of the heavy machine gun is always key on Corrupted Keep, and even more key against heavy champions because they are obviously so stacked and such easy targets. You need to be making the most of whatever mid-range engagements you can get.
Ooh. LG in close range, doing a fair bit of damage. Pineapples coming out as the fruit salad will be served up here by Cypher, but Cooler is not interested. The man wants none of your fruit. He just wants frags, and he's going to be lurking on the top rope, looking to do some damage. A little bit of a love tap coming out in the end there as one of them will detonate onto the back of his legs. He goes in for the close quarters combat. Oh no, and he has eaten a rocket there.
Chaos in the hallway as pineapple and rockets combine for a very tasty dessert, and Cooler unfortunately ate the brunch of it.
He's got the big shotty out. Oh, looking to try and make this a little bit more groovy, but it's not coming through just yet. He's not landing the mark, and of course, he is still effectively 4 frags down as well. It's a rough start for him here on Keep. Cypher, we know that he can be a pain in the backside when he is on keel. And Cooler, he's the one that is firmly up struggle street right now.
The lifeline for Cooler is the items are still pretty much matching. So he has the resource to fall back on when Cypher's committing for one of them. Play for me for now is Cypher can get this frag is to try and manipulate the map so he can take both. And get that split between the two.
Drops down.
Oh, he drops into a turret as well. The damage is unreal.
Yeah, that was like going 2 versus 1 there. The left hook hitting him, the right hook with a follow-up, and then the uppercut to try and take him down. Oh, this could be cheeky. Has that actually got the range to spot him? But it won't matter. You get the backstab off anyway. He just goes for the full attack with the shotty, coming through the portal to punish, and will unload both barrels into the man, ending Cypher, finally getting off the Negi bomb, putting himself back on the Nutri for now as he's back on 0. He's just got to get that momentum going. 3 frags down, gets a mega, and starts to do the groundwork.
It is groundwork though, because Cypher obviously is still very stacked. Doesn't have a lightning gun though, so I think Cooler should be definitely playing around that weakness.
So we're nearly at 5 minutes. Cooler expecting a push to come around as he will just be lurking right now. Ooh, shots going out. Couple of blows here and there, softening him up. Eventually he goes for the full commit, but it doesn't matter again. Cypher, he's the one that wins it. Takes the victory overall. A shocking play with the LG to send Cooler off to sleep school once again. Battle of the LG right now. They're going to be crossing the streams, looking a little bit like Ghostbusters, but the only one that's busting is Cypher. As Busting makes him feel good, cleaning up with another frag, gets himself to a 5-0 scoreline here, Dan. A frag a minute, essentially, is the way it's been going here on Keep, and it doesn't feel like he is dropping off. He is certainly a landlord, and he is lording it over Cooler in every single instance. He is proving that he can pack a punch, and these fists are doing some damage. Pineapples being thrown on top for good measure, as well as all of the explosions are being used right now. For Cypher, trying to do some decimation with the detonation as he's rolling in the explosives. Wanted to finish him off with a couple of bullets. He's handy with a steel. He knows that to earn his keep, but he can't quite end the life of Cooler yet.
This also might be a huge opportunity for Cypher to get both major items, and it is. He beats Cooler to the punch, and it's a matter of how much damage does he take. Bare chunk. Enough for Cooler to feel confident pushing off the spawn. Which is why we see Cypher playing positionally, using the audio cues again to back off. And he's getting the better of the range game. That's been the key for me so far, as that rocket hits Cooler smack in the face. Out-dodged himself. And yeah, Cooler, Cypher is consistently getting the earlier shots out and doing a better job on these mid and long range engagements, which is something that Cooler needs to be focusing on more, because he's the one with the lesser stack overall.
Oh mate, Cypher finally dies. It's taken so long.
Look how weak Cooler is.
I know, man, and the awkward bit is off the back, right? He can instantly instigate another fight if he wants to. You've got the turret there as a bit of an early warning system, but I don't think it's really going to make much of a difference.
And it's not really an early warning system if you're standing on top of it, so Coollerz is now just playing a bit of plus back, but time is running out.
Time is ticking down indeed. I mean, we're at the 7-minute mark. It's 7 kills for Cypher, 1 on the board for Coollerz. He's had 2 overall. Of course, he did unfortunately suicide early on into this one, but now he's trying to stay alive and really do some damage. The turret's going to be chucked out as Wally will go flying. The shot he will come in from the back and no! Coollerz! Oh no, he's gone off on the Russian space program.
I don't even know how that happened.
Mate.
Oh, grenade to the face, and that will be the end of Coollerz, and probably the end of his chances of trying to get back into this as he flies off the map and then flies into a pineapple. And it all just seems to stretch too far for Coollerz now, as Cypher has a very commanding lead and only 2 minutes in it. Items, damage, aim, everything's going in his favor, and it's all futile for the Russian.
The Belarusian bruiser, Cypher right now, showing that he does not want to be a loser when the dust settles on this one. He wants to win the series 2-1 a pop, and he is certainly proving that with the way he's playing. Bounces off the statue, speed running his way through this as he keeps on moving, looking for another peak to come out. Again with the LGs, both of them trying to tickle one another to an early demise, but no one's been finished off. Cypher stays alive, and again, shuts down Coollerz. 11-2 here on Keep. What on earth?
I enjoyed the turret decoy flying over the pillar, but it wasn't enough, and it wasn't to be. Cypher wins this series in a commanding fashion on this last map after Coollerz really did play so well in the previous game, but overall you got to say it is very much deserved, the 2-1 victory, but it's good to see Coollerz back to nearly his best. I wouldn't say his best, but he played very well.
1 minute warning.
He's been given it. Like, it's fair to say the entire series, right? Like, Corrupted Keep isn't essentially the same as what we've seen from the rest of the series, but the series as a whole has been good. We've seen the display from Coollerz. He's been able to go toe for toe. He's kept it close. You think about the first 2 maps, right? They were really Coollerz centric the whole way through. He struggled into Keep. I'd say, especially over the course of this season, Dan. He's had some rough games on Keep, whereas Cypher, he just seems to have a field day here. He loves coming out to Keep. He basically, you know, lives here. This is his holiday home, and right now he is on holiday, having a bloody good time with the way he's playing it. It's a 13-3 scoreline. It's just a matter of time before he shuts this one down.
Yeah, it's fair, but in spite of that, it was a fairly even game throughout. I think the kill pick definitely threw Coollerz a little bit. He wasn't able to match the stack, and Cypher just bullied him. It was a good showing, but in terms of like items, it's fairly even throughout. Damage, relatively even as well. Scoreline, not so much.
You lose.
Honestly, though, for what that was, Dan, hell of a series, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. I think that was a banger.
Lived up to it.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It always catches my eye. I thoroughly enjoy watching Cypher play. So to see Cypher pitted against Coollerz, you could smell how juicy of a game it was going to be, and it lived up to the hype, looking like prime Wagyu beef on that one. Really, really sick stuff. Corrupted Keep, though, 13-5 split there for Cypher as he locks it down, wins the series 2-1. That was a banger.
Really enjoyed that. I hope everyone else did. It's always good to see these two greats play. Now we've got 3 greats all looking back to their best, you know. Cypher, Coollerz, Tox. Let's see what Rafa and Dahan can bring to the table.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, you know, that is what we'll be going into as the last matchup of the night. Coming fresh off of this game that got us hyped up. I know I was definitely gassed going into that one, Dan, and off the back of Corrupted Keep, I'm feeling it. The heart's pounding. I'm on the edge of the seat. I'm ready for an all-star American matchup to round out the last week of composition here.
Let's get to it then.
Mate, it's going to be sick, honestly. We've seen so many great players throughout the day. We've had some banging games. Normally, we have some quiet week 10s, but this one's been a bit of a big send-off. It wants everyone to get hyped for the Quake World Championships, and we are seeing everyone playing their absolute best. All the way back towards the start of the day, we've had momentous games coming out, you know, with the Effort series. It's all been popping. It's all been looking damn good, Dan.
I think you nailed it, right? Like, everyone's going into the Quake World Championships next week. They know how important it is. It's more important than all the other stages. It's got the prestige attached to it just because of what it is as well. And whoever wins is pretty much the champion. So you've got some big names competing for the biggest prize and want to round off a very great year of the QPL. So I'm glad to see that everyone is on form. You never want one person just to run away with it. You want it to be as competitive as it can be.
Absolutely, man. It's QuakeCon, baby. It's going to be sick. And of course, before we shut down the day, we have that final game to go. Our last free map spectacular between two of the best from North America of all time. The true GOATs going up against one another. Rafa taking on Dehang. And before we get into that game, Freya, she's really doubled down on the interviews tonight. We've got one final interview that was conducted. This time, let's see what Dehang has to say for himself.